And welcome back, everyone, to The Domain Presents Blades in the Dark, our story of what happens in the dusk. Last time, on a sojourn to the Dimmer Mansion, resulted in the loss of one of the party members, who was seemingly taken away by the Dimmer sisters. And with the death of another, the crew now faces something of a dilemma of what the future holds. But before that, we're going to jump over to another part of Duskfall in the district of Coalridge, where a figure sits on a rather ragged-looking horse and cart, and slightly apprehensive, to say the least. Apatura, could you describe this figure, please?
Cool. Caroline is a very tall and slender woman with hair in big how is the word, like a bun but very unkempt and with white strand in it. And yeah, she's very pale. Some might say ghostly pale. And if somebody looked a bit closer, he would see that her fingers are black, like maybe frostbite.
So, with the sudden eruption of several barking dogs, two figures run out of one of the many side doors to one of the factories. Both of them dressed in black. One of them certainly distinguishable by a pair of hardybeest type horns that sweep backwards over her hair. The other one, a very lithe teenage girl, and the two of them, one of the teenage girl herself, carrying a bundled up object, clutching it close to her chest, and the two of them charge towards the cart. And at this point, I am going to make a very quick engagement roll. 3. Does that come through? Of a 5, as the two of them throw themselves into the back of the cart, and it's the Taisharosi, Arabella, who just drive, go. And this pale lady, you are up. What would you like to do?
I didn't get where I was in the scene. Am I in the cart?
You're the driver.
Well, let's go. Let's not waste any time.
The cart itself, rather than the usually a common sight in Coalridge and the docks, but rather than being pulled by the heavy workhorses or a donkey, is being pulled by a much more lithe sprinting horse, one that's born and bred for speed. Apatura, could you make me a check, please?
It's a check to control the horse, I imagine?
Pretty much, yeah. A getaway as the barking of dogs gets ever closer.
Okay. Would finesse work?
Finesse, absolutely, yes.
Okay, let's go.
Oh, very nice. As the horse bucks, this creature is ready to run, and the energy is pent up and breaks out into a speed as three dogs run out of the alleyway, sort of almost falling over one another, followed a few moments later by two heavy-set foremen, one of which pulls out a revolver, pepperbox style revolver, and just takes two shots which blindly sort of fly overhead. Gunshots just echoing in the street. And where's Fortune gone? Roll Fortune. As the gunshots bring the attention of a couple of whistles that go out, likely bluecoats on patrol in the immediate area, as the horse gathers more and more momentum. This cart bouncing over rough cobbles really wasn't meant for this kind of punishing driving. This is meant for a more ambient, controlled pace. And speaking of which, Nathan, what would you like to do after the events of Dimmer Mansion?
Well, I'm assuming after Hestia probably has to forcibly pull Nathan back from attempting to go back in, since he was right there when Lottie was taken. I don't assume that that's gonna sit well with him, so I'm assuming after being drugged back, Nathan is, to put it very lightly, somewhat scarred from his sojourn into the Dimmer Mansion, so I think first, his nasty little habit of the nose powder would probably need a little bit of fixing before his mind and body would even consider going to anybody to deal with that. So I think I'm gonna hit up my vice here first off.
Absolutely.
Go pay
remind me.
That would be Averick in Barrowcleft.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead and make me that check as you arrive at a very, very normal, otherwise unassuming workers' house, set on the ground floor, but below that is a rather damp flight of stairs, which the water just seems to sort of flow down almost constantly in pools at the bottom, which has itself a large metal door with a hatch in it. And as you knock on the door, the hatch opens, pair of eyes look out, closes, and you hear the multiple unbolting of the door creaks open. And Averick, a salt of the earth farm worker who ushers you quickly inside.
I'm gonna kind of give him an odd glance. He's usually not the doorman, but he knows why. He knows why I'm here.
I'm sure it's for my pleasant company.
And with that, let's go ahead and get this roll. Of course.
Times are tough. Supplies are low, and I've had to make do and mend. There's a little couple of blasts in there, but it's all I can get at the moment. Blue coats with eyes on everything.
Nathan, he takes what he can get here, but it's very visible that he's still irritated over the situation. He can't get his mind off of it. It would be at this point, though, that his hand is still burning from the acid from it's been probably about a week now. He's kind of
it's as you go down, and actually it's Averick who's sort of, as you sort of cover block off one nostril, looks at your hand and sort of ragged bandages over it. You want to get that checked out?
After finishing a line, Nathan kind of rubs at his nose a little bit. Yeah. And not only is that hand shaking a little bit, but he's still somewhat shaking. Not from necessarily the drugs in this case, but just from everything else. There's other issues that I also need to get checked out. I need to probably go see a whisper. It's been a rough couple of weeks, if I'm gonna be honest with you.
Sorry to hear it. Well, I mean, you know where to come if you need a little bit of a detachment. Got more supplies coming in and a couple of and all being well and good, I can make a payment to the Bluecoats and things can go back to the way they were. You know, get the eyes away from us.
Oh, speaking of payments and the like, pros haven't messed with you lately, have they?
Nah, we work something out. Appreciate the concern, though.
There's somewhat of a knowing smile on Nathan's face. Good, glad to hear it. And with that, I think Nathan would take his leave because being almost possessed, I'm sure Nathan would understand what almost happened there towards the end.
The wardens have enough of an education in this to recognize that kind of malignant influence.
And I'm going to make my way, nose to the ground, so to speak, in an attempt to find a whisper of some variety to be able to assist me in the certain types of medicine I'm going to require. I already know our physiker can handle my hand, but it's more the other stuff that is going to require a more arcane touch.
There's a little bit of to and fro, asking questions, throwing the net out and seeing what comes back, putting questions into those that you can trust. And eventually you are led to... Where does Morlan call home? Which district?
Real quick, I just need to think about what the districts are.
Okay, so you've got the primary residential district of the majority of sort of the working classes is Char Hollow, north of that Crow's Foot, which is the crime. Think of the 5 Points in Gangs of New York, the Docks and Silkshore, both the kind of coastal, Silkshore being arts and red light district. The Docks obviously Import and Brightstone and White Crown, the two prestige regions. Charterhall is home of academia and professional industry, so lawyers, doctors, or lawyers, physicists. Six Towers, which is a mix of destitution and fairly influential and affluent. Very, very divided. Night Market, the commercial, slowly gentrifying region, and Gaddock Station, leading up to the Empire at large, and Coalridge, industry production, and Dunslow, which is impoverished, made up primarily marked by the ominous silhouette of Ironhook Prison, but surrounded by slum ghettos.
I think it's probably Dunslow.
So, as Nathan, going past the cabbies will only take you so far as Ironhook, refusing to go into the ghettos due to rather opportunistic gangs that block off streets and then set up ambushes. And as the streets become more and more they're sort of made up, rather than there's no official street markings or signs. These are places where the shanties and lean-tos and scaffolds just kind of force streets to be formed. None of them are paved. It's just mud, and occasionally some boarding to provide some traction underfoot. But you're very aware of the streets getting narrower, and a few of the gangs that call this region home sort of watch you making your way through, leaning off the sides of open scaffold, where keeping a close eye on what's happening on their very, very closely guarded turf. And eventually arriving at your destination. Morlan, could you describe yourself, please?
Yes. Morlan is... You look at him and he has amber skin, Ruvian heritage. The most defining feature is probably the fact that he is never seen outside of just his overalls and basically nothing else. He's got his arms bare at all times, and it's quite bizarre for Dustfall with how chilly it can get without a sun. It shows off almost like a mark of pride, this spiral of scar tissue that goes down both arms. And the only thing besides his boots and his overalls is a mask attached to his hip that just clinks as he walks, and it's of a snarling jackal.
You recognize the mask straight away. Not by design, but by its nature, Nathan. Of a spirit mask. And with a name and a location.
As I'm assuming this is probably Morlan's house, using the term house loosely.
Loose interpretation, yes. I don't know if you have any ideas. What is his home?
It's probably not bad in terms of Dunslow, but not bad in terms of Dunslow mean there's only a few holes in the roof. So he's got a sturdy door and not much else. He's got a very pristine doorway. But the walls themselves look like they haven't been painted probably since it was made. And I assume as you knock, he opens it and pokes his head out, an almost consistent smirk on his face.
Yes, well, obviously one of the kind of the key buildings that at one time was actually when this region was intended to be a little more built up than it has become. So obviously, from outside of this block of brickwork buildings, the wooden boarding and the cloth doorways sort of extend outwards into the ragtag layout.
What brings you to my doorway?
Nathan, what you would see about Nathan is... Ooh. Uh-oh. I just lost connection. Can you guys hear me?
Sorry about this, technical difficulties.
Technical
No
difficulties, I'm coming back.
We're getting...
I'm coming back. There we go. All right, I'm back.
There we go.
Sorry about that. My internet just absolutely crapped itself there. No other way to phrase it. Okay. Everybody hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. So I was going to say, when you open the door, you would see a man that very clearly is, or has been for some time, homeless. Unkept, black hair, gray streaks going through it. You can tell he is older, late 50s, early 60s, which is somewhat impressive considering Duskfall. Painfully thin, sunken features. There is a somewhat of a tick of him, touching the bottom side of his nose, so you can probably assume he is some sort of drug user as well. When he speaks, however, there is obviously signs of drug abuse. He's slow to speak. He seems to have to think for his words, but there is a certain level of eloquence to his speak. He's by no means uneducated. I'm in need of a whisper, and your name came recommended.
As it would, I assume. Pardon me. You know my name, but I don't have the privilege of yours.
My name is Nathan Esting. May I come in?
Oh, of course, Mr. Esting. Come right inside. And he opens the door and leads you in past a tattered rug to what is a not disused living room, but everything except a couple of chairs that has like a thin layer of dust over it. He leads you to one of them as he sits across, and so you have need of a whisper. Is it a spirit that needs dealing with, or something to do with you?
Let me
say if you want. I'm going to say if you want at this point, Morlan, you can make a check likely attune.
Okay.
Do
Just
your thing.
see if I can figure out what's going on.
Basically, yeah. There's pretty much no downsides to this. It's
I'm guessing it's controlled standard.
It's controlled greater.
Alrighty.
Right.
6.
It's as you shift and begin to gain that almost that sorry, blank the word. you're tuned to the ghost field, and you see that it's almost like two figures are following Nathan. It just they sort of snap into your field of vision, and then very almost as quickly disperse once again into the miasmic mist.
So is this a haunting or an attempted possession?
It looks to be an attempt at possession.
I turn to Mr. Easting, and well, it seems your soul has gotten a few dings in it, hasn't it?
Yes. I suppose I should be so lucky that it's just a few dings, as you put it.
It is still yours, after all.
And I made it out of the Dimmer mansion, so...
Now, what in the world does a sane man have to do in a place such as that?
Returned an...
Of course. You don't need to answer, of course. Confidentiality and all that. Every man's business is his own, but I must admit to curiosity.
Believe it or not, they contract work sometimes.
Really?
Retrieval.
All I've heard about them is their reclusiveness. How interesting. Anyways, I assume you came to me to buff out those dings in your spirit?
Yes, in the meantime, he, at this point, shows the poorly bandaged hand. I also need to have a physical look at this, but I don't expect you to do that. I would just prefer to get both things done at one time. I have a location in Crowsfoot, if you don't mind traveling there, just so I can get everything done at once. I have a way of payment.
Sure enough. Okay. Yeah, things have been pretty slow today. I suppose I could follow you. He seems a little perturbed at following this peeringly homeless man that just showed up at his doorstep to a undisclosed location in the city of Duskwall. He's very cautious now. I think understandably so.
It's especially to Crowsfoot as well, where law is all sorted. Everything is sorted in house, so to speak. And as the two of you make you,
I think the curiosity is getting over his better sense in this part. I think the mention of the Dimmer sisters makes this more of an experience than an actual job for him. He just wants to see if he can undo what they did as a mark of pride.
As the two of you begin the slightly long trek back to the north of Dunslow, and the ability to pick up a cab or a gondolier to complete the journey, we're going to jump back to almost running parallel with you and heading north into Coalridge, and heading north from Coalridge into Night Market, and eventually into Six Towers, as a cart careers wildly, looking in a very, very controlled, despite all appearances to the contrary, of somebody who looks like they probably shouldn't be able to handle a horse like this, but seems to have almost the Severosi nature of horsemanship to her. Lottie. Sorry, not Lottie. No, Caroline. As you as you round a corner and very much aware of a much more heavy vehicle. This is one of the ironclad carriages that the bluecoats use for transport. While heavier, it doesn't have the maneuverability, but it certainly has the structural integrity and much more made for in the open straights. That it really kind of builds up that momentum, and the two horses pulling it can really break out the speed. However, you have the advantage on the cornering, and especially with your horsemanship, that you've able to get a significant lead over this carriage now in pursuit. Could you make me another check, please?
The same one as last time?
Up to you. Or you can obviously go for something a bit more offensive if you like. Oh, very nice. So that's 2. And it's the blue coat who's in the passenger seat. Behind you, as you round a corner, he does have quite a good aim with the shot, and is able to, as you round a corner and close off line of sight, fires a shot off. You hear the pepper box click around, bullet loads into the chamber, takes the shot, and he just hits the back wheel, which, glancing back, you realise is now rocking backwards and forwards as it turns. I'm going to say maybe one more desperate action to get away.
Okay. I'm keeping with my...
But like I said, desperate action, so remember to mark this in EXP.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah, the start was too good.
As the carriage is, as they round the corner, as you're able to get to the end of the street, you hear another shot go off, and this one takes out the back axle. The cart drops your two passengers rolling back down the street as the cart begins to skid around and then flips over. You hear the wood splintering, and as the harness the connection piece, what's it called, that goes over the horse, that just splinters and breaks free. The horse just running off as you're thrown from the wreckage. We'll say we'll do level 2 harm as you land hard into the dirt, and we'll say level 2 harm of a broken rib.
Remember, you can resist.
You can of course resist, and you can also take armor.
I don't have any armor on me, but I will try to resist.
Okay, so that'll be level 1 of some heavy bruising.
Prowess?
Oh. And that is... Oh, so you take 1 stress.
Wait,
She
was
rolled...
that the resistance?
Yeah, she rolled
for resistance.
prowess.
Oh, so 2... Oh, right, prowess. So yeah, 2...
Sorry.
No, you need to roll... Yeah, you need to roll...
Sorry.
finesse.
Words.
Sorry, prowess, yes.
It's a
So
word.
2...
It's
I mean,
stress.
it starts the same. It's understandable.
Yeah, it's real
First
close.
4 letters.
Yeah, real close, so nobody's gonna blame you.
So that'd be 2 stress, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 2 stress as the 3 of you are rather quickly surrounded by the heavy boots, and you hear the clicking and reloading of those pepperbox rifles. And with that, we shall return to Crowsfoot. Arriving at a store, which at a storefront, which is very different to the way you left it, Nathan. The sign is now blank, and within the majority of contents have been removed.
Nathan is going to kind of raise an eyebrow. He's like, well, that's unusual. He is going to kind of look around. This has to be relatively recent, right?
Absolutely, yes. In light of how familiar is Nathan with the criminal nature of certain gangs?
Everything he's heard is more second or third hand. He's only aware of things if he gets told them, so to speak. He doesn't necessarily stick his nose into other people's business, really.
Wait, so I used to be a gondolier. I used to be a gondolier over in Dunhall. Where was it? I'm sorry.
Silk Shores.
Yes. So I used to be a gondolier, and I assume kind of like with an Uber driver, they like that idle chatter just to make the time go by faster. I wonder if I assume a lot of criminal types end up taking gondoliers just because it's a way through the city fast. Would I perhaps know anything about this? Could I make a roll to see if I know if this is any?
This is it's more the individual that was behind the original establishment, which itself posed as a store which would have been of key interest to somebody like Morlan, selling all manner of arcane trinkets, some of which were genuine, others were snake oil, but the owner within, who was previously revealed to be a wraith, has done what the wraiths do and burned their tracks.
Got it.
So on that reveal, she has now believed herself to be. Has now deliberately put herself in the wind. And and as the store itself, the window's completely empty of any kind of display, save for a small, folded in half piece of card paper that says "To Let."
I know it's not addressed to Nathan, but Nathan's gonna flip it and read it.
Oh no, it's like a sign that's like in the window that the store is able to be leased out. There's nothing else written on it. It's just like folded in half like that, so it stands up.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like a little note thing. So.
No. It's the store is.
Yeah, I heard to lent or
to let.
To rent.
Yeah. Oh, to rent. Yeah.
Yeah.
To lease, whatever. Yeah.
Well, I hope whoever takes this space is as agreeable as the last owner was. I'm sure we'll hear from her again. I mean, we offered her something very lucrative. And Nathan's kind of muttering this to himself, but he's doing it loud enough for Morlan to hear as Nathan goes up the stairs and goes into the lair where he's definitely sent a message out through the ciphers for our Physiker to meet him there as well.
Yeah, and there is. Yeah, so there's a in the room. There's someone waiting, and there's someone who looks like he's, although a practicing Physiker, likely does additional work on the side, no questions asked. But looks like he's been probably called from home, much more of a casual attire as opposed to the usual dress of a Physiker, who sits in a chair. and looks up from his novel and. You know, when you said to meet you, I have expected you to be here.
Multilateral issue. I needed.
Oh, I see.
And without too much further ado, I want to make my healing roll. Alright, so this is... We can actually do it this way because the... So it's gonna be what? It's tier +1, correct?
Yes. For yeah, as initially the Physica steps in and.
Oh, it's tier +2 because of my Physica ability. Because he.
You only get that if you. That's if you heal yourself.
That is. Is that what we're ruling? Because that's not what the rules stated.
Physica is when you roll Tinker.
Physica also in. Physica allows me to roll Tinker while I'm healing other people, but also provides +1 to all healing rolls, period.
I would say you can take that second one, but it's you're making your own, you're doing your own input, so it'll cost you the 2 stress.
Okay.
For up to you if you'd like to take it.
No, I'm not gonna immediately burn the 2 stress that I lost.
Fair enough, yeah. It's
Okay.
So a quick ruling there. Don't know if that's official, but we'll go with that for the moment.
Yeah, the Psychic ability just says everyone in your crew, including you, gets +1d to their healing roll treatments.
And then the book states that I can use, if I'm healing somebody, I can use my Tinker to heal.
Right. Okay. In that case, if it's everyone including yourself, then yes. All right.
Yeah, if Physica is honestly a really, really powerful ability. All right, so this should be 3 dice. Of course. My rolls continue to be spectacular. That's
One piece of your clock. However, would you like to spend coin to upgrade that effect to 2 pieces, or 3 or 2 coin to 6? 4 coin for a crap.
I think actually the better option here is I'm going to spend a coin for the extra downtime activity and re-roll it.
Absolutely. So you got 1 piece already, but
yeah, I feel like that's probably the best idea. Nathan is officially broke. Actually, no, he has 1 coin left. I forgot. Okay, so let's try this again because honestly, I can't be running around with level 2 harm and all level 1 harm filled. That's just not. It's just not going to end well.
of course. That's a bit better. That's 2.
2 pieces, and then I will go ahead and spend another coin to upgrade that to
2 coin. 2 coin spent.
Yeah, but
As
that fills my clock.
yes, so everything drops down by 1 level. So your level 1 drops off, and your level 2 harms go to level 1.
All right.
It takes some time and much longer than you expected. It's the Physica takes his leave into the late hours, and ultimately ends up leaving. You end up finishing while the spirits seem latched on to the very essence of Nathan. You're able to push them back at least. It's by no means a process that is over.
I enjoy the challenge, and like, while this is a very serious thing, you see as he's just trying to untangle the knots that the Dimmer sisters have put in his spirit, tying this malignant shade to it. His smile just grows wider and wider as each little crease comes undone.
And as you expend pretty much the last of your energy just finishing what you can, you're aware of that flicker of light of the shattered sun as dawn marks its arrival. And the light, that same light, streams into a lockup within within Night Market's precinct, and that light shines directly onto Caroline's face and sort of rouses her from the very, very uncomfortable sleep that she's been able to have. The only kind of furnishings in this room, separated from the rest of the precinct by this large barred door, is 3 benches around the side. And as you look, as you sort of look around, and your eyes kind of coming to from that slightly unrestful sleep, a figure walks in. You can just about make out a silhouette speaking to the desk sergeant, and a few of the words carry through to the room as you hear the conversation between the two. Something about processing, and the other one saying, "Well, I'm sure we can arrange something. How about some sort of processing fee? Negate the whole thing." And the sergeant, there's a pause. You see the shadow sort of through frosted glass. You see the sergeant look around that none of his immediate superiors are present. And a moment later, he comes through, unlocks the door, slides it open, stands back, and is like, "Well, it's go on your way."
Thank you, young man. Doing better.
And the 3 of you walk out of the holding cell into that front foyer of the precincts to see another Taishirosi. This one with 4 quite distinct purple eyes. And it's at this point, as the 4 of you now walk down the steps, that Arabella voices the often unasked for and unwanted opinion of, "You had one job to do. One job, get us out. That was it."
Maybe next time, don't bring all of the Squall police force with you when we escape. I did everything I could to get us out. I couldn't prepare for that much. I thought you were like the best thieves.
It's at this point the teenage girl who's sort of like wrapping around this very, very unruly, way too big scarf, sort of wrapping it around herself again. So, "I am the best. You want the best? You came to me. Someone else who can't sneak around was the problem." And sort of looks back at Arabella, slightly outraged by her complete lack of clandestine ability, apparently. If it means anything, you were all right, I suppose.
Anyway, we're out now. Thanks to your friend, I guess. Do you have anything? Or did it take whatever you wanted to?
Sorry, from their robbery, or
Yes.
that's all been seized by Blue Coats. They've got. As It's it's the new the newly emerged Taishirosi who sort of stands back and waits for Arabella and Millicent, the teenage girl, to go on.
You have just finished listening to this week's episode of Blades in the Dark, What Happens in the Dusk, part of the Domain Gaming, written and told by Wyverian and Livespark. A special thanks to you, the listener, and if you wish to continue supporting us, subscribe, like, and share. As always, comments are welcome. Until the next chapter, remember the first rule of a con. Offer them everything for nothing, and give them nothing for everything.